Welcome to Arcade Audio.
Ladies and germs, welcome to Dilettante Ball. I'm Johnny.
I'm Spencer.
Here on Dilettante Ball, we go on Wikipedia.
We click random article.
We talk about it.
Yeah, we do.
There was something that I have wanted to talk to you about, and I haven't, even though I've seen you a lot since this has happened.
Okay. I don't even know what this could be.
So you know how I've had vertigo for months.
That's
and
right.
months and months.
I forgive me. I did mean to ask you about it, but I got sidetracked talking about something else. Like literally when I saw you today, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask him," and then we started talking about your bathroom trim.
So, yeah, I'm redoing my bathroom. So I guess next time we record, hopefully I'll be done with that, and I'll be able to give you
I can't wait.
a status.
So what's up with your vertigo?
So I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor a while ago, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna run this test on you."
Okay.
It's called a VNG, which stands for something that I don't know and I don't care. So I was like, okay, cool. So we went on our trip, whenever, come back, and there's this list of things you can't do before you do this test. And it's no drugs, no alcohol, no caffeine,
No fun.
no anti-vertigo medicine, which I wasn't taking anyway, but it was just funny. Well, fuck. But it's for 3 days before the test.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So then I went in and I was like, okay, let's do this test. And they're like, okay, it should be about 90 minutes. I was like, okay, fine. So I get in, I sit down, they put these goggles on to measure my eye movements.
Sure.
And the first part of the test is okay, there's this thing and there are a bunch of red lights on it. Just follow the red lights with your eyes and we'll do it all different ways and whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Took 15 minutes.
Okay.
And she was like, okay, great. This is going to be the last part. And I was like,
what?
Oh, shit. I'll be out here in half an hour.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'll get some burgers.
So she was like, okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this tube and it's going to blow cool air inside your ear. And we'll do that for a minute on one side, measure your eye movement, do a minute on the other side.
Interesting.
So what this does is it spins the fluid in your ear and it'll probably make you feel dizzy.
Sure.
So I was like, okay. So she puts it in my ear, and she's like, okay, it's going to be a minute, and I'll let you know.
Feels like so long.
It'll beep when it's done.
Is it a gentle blowing, or is it a?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was that wasn't it. It was
just
not. It was well, this is weird, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
So for a bit, I was like, okay, this is fine. It's just blowing in my ear, whatever.
Totally cool. It's fine.
And then for the goggles, they shut it down. They put down the blast shield so you can't see out.
Right, exactly. You have to use the force to hit the remote.
So at a certain point,
so are you sitting there in the dark?
I'm sitting there in the dark.
Okay.
Got a hose in my ear, and she's like, "Okay, looks like we're about at 30 seconds. I can tell by your eye movements." And that's when I started to feel dizzy.
Oh my god. Were you in a chair with arm support? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was in a kind of like a dentist chair.
Yeah, yeah. So you weren't gonna fall anywhere, but you still were like, oh my god.
So I started to get a little dizzy, and I was like, oh, that's crazy that this is happening. And it just kept getting dizzier and dizzier and dizzier. It got. I can't believe that I could get that dizzy.
Dude, I'm panicking just thinking about it.
And it just kept going and going, and I was gripping onto the thing. And I was like, it has to be done. It has to be done now. I could not.
Do you remember that scene in Alien where the android is doing the
knife
five-finger fillet? Yeah. And the guy's like, ah! That was you.
I was like, this can't get worse. And it kept getting worse.
And she was like, okay, it's been 32 seconds.
And then finally she was like, okay, that's a minute. And she took it out. And then she was like, okay, just stare straight ahead and don't blink. And it was dark, so it was hard to tell, but they were going to measure my eye movements. And it was just room spinning like crazy.
Holy shit.
And then finally she turned on a little light, and she was like, okay, focus on the light, and that'll help you not be dizzy anymore. And it did, and it couple minutes.
Reoriented you.
Got back down.
And they have to do it on the other side
and
still?
then she was like, okay, let's do the left side.
That, dude.
She did that, same thing.
Ugh.
Calm down. And she was like, okay, great.
You don't have vertigo. We don't know what the problem is.
Now here's the part that we never like to tell you. We've got to do it again with hot air.
What? What the fuck?
And she was like, yeah, we don't really like to tell people going in that we're gonna fuck you up and then we're gonna fuck you up a second time. And she was like,
Yeah, because I bet you were so relieved.
and the thing with the hot air is it spins the fluid the opposite direction.
Really?
And it actually tends to make people dizzier.
That's
And I was like,
fucking wild.
you can't.
You fucking can't.
So she did it.
She did anyway.
And
Were you immediately fucked up?
the first time, I was like, "There's no way I could be dizzier than this. I've never been this dizzy. There's no way that I could experience anything worse." and by God, I did. It was
God.
It was so much worse. It was unimaginable.
Did it truly? Did it feel like torture?
It was, yes.
Okay.
It was crazy.
Jesus Christ.
And when that was done, it was the same exact thing,
Right.
just like crazy dizzier. But the reason the goddamn test takes so long is it took me like 15 minutes to be able to do the next side.
I see.
So like
Most of the test was just you being like, "Fuck this."
she took it out. I was literally shaking
Holy shit.
because it was so bad, and it was just like bent over, like I need water, and just
crying.
just like. I couldn't believe it, and she was like,
Were you like nauseous or just dizzy?
both.
Okay, both.
And she was like, "Okay, are you ready to do the next side?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's just do
guess,
it." And then I like started to lay back, and I was like, "No, we can't yet."
Oh my God.
So we were just waiting, and she was just like making small talk, and
Right.
she was like, "So what do you got any plans for tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try and like go to the gym and make dinner and this and this and this
Right.
and whatever." And then finally it was like, "Okay, let's do it." And she was
Right.
like, if it gets to be too much, I can stop. And
No,
I was
fuck
like,
that.
well, but then you'd have to fucking do it again. And she was
Exactly.
like, well, yeah, I would. So we did it again on the other side. We got to the end, and then again, I just like stayed for like 15 minutes, and she was like, "Yeah, by the way, you're not going to the gym," because for the next like day and so the rest of that day and like most of the following day, I was still like fucked up.
Dude.
It was wild. It was wild. I can't believe that.
I can't even imagine. I truly can't even imagine. Did you get your like results back and they were like, "Okay, cool, here's a problem." And,
Yes.
And here's like, we'll give you a little shot and you're done.
So the issue was that so I had been misdiagnosed the first time, and it was a different
Different type of vertigo.
yes, and this is like a nerve issue. So the nerves on each side of my head respond differently.
Oh wow. So it
So-
creates an imbalance.
Yep. So when something happens, one side of my brain is saying this is happening, and one side of my brain is saying this is happening.
Totally.
So the fix or whatever is a different type of physical therapy. So I started going to that, and it seems to be helping.
That's so crazy.
But basically there are later on at physical therapy they did some more tests to just whatever.
Right.
Nothing like that. It was fucking fine. But so like the first day that it happens, I'm like super room spinning dizzy,
Right.
and then it's just like a weird like off sort of floaty feeling inside my head. And he was like, so the first part is the thing that I was originally diagnosed with,
Right.
which is like weird crystals in your ears getting dislodged.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that triggers the nerve thing.
I see.
But I was being treated for the first thing and not this thing. It's wild.
You would think that like when you get to be 30 that you basically understand how like bodies work and the things that are contained within them.
Yeah.
But no, like these are all new concepts to me.
Well, so this has happened before to me, but it
Right.
just so happens that like I got the right kind of physical therapy somehow.
Right. Like if someone were to tell me like, "Oh yeah, all your ears contain fluid and and also crystals and there are these nerves," like I wouldn't like, what the fuck are you talking
It's crazy.
about? Yeah.
So hopefully,
That's crazy. Good luck.
thanks.
Yeah.
The
only time I feel like that, does this happen to you like when you like drink too much that you feel dizzy? Does that happen to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get the spins actually really easily.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't like I never get to a fun point when I drink.
Yeah.
It's like nothing, a little buzzed,
Right.
the spins.
Okay, gotcha.
So I tend to never get drunk.
Right, yeah.
Because it's miserable.
Well, maybe this will fix it. Maybe you can get drunk again finally.
Honestly, what like having a drink with the vertigo, kind of like, it's like a white noise machine, sort of.
What do you mean?
So like a white
Like
noise
it makes
machine,
it better?
Yeah, a white noise machine kind of like covers over like all the weird ambient sounds,
Totally.
and it's just like this. It's like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway,
That
that's
explains why we're always just sipping on beer throughout the day.
with a little straw.
Yeah. Sometimes you have a Camelback.
Yeah, that's all. That test was like a goddamn nightmare. I can't believe that's a thing that people do. It
And you know what's crazy? I bet there are people that like live with like maybe that level of vertigo constant.
Straight up,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Isn't that like crazy? So it's almost like, well, guess I'm pretty lucky in that way.
Yeah, honestly, God, I don't even know what I would do. I truly don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know what I'll do now. Let's get an article. Whoa. Oh, Chrome is different. How do I get bookmarks?
Chrome is different, huh?
Why have you done this?
Well, maybe today we just do a whole vertigo special. We can transition into some Alfred Hitchcock and some U2.
I found it.
Oh, never mind. Great. There goes that good idea.
Okay. FreeBSD.
.com.
FreeBSD. FreeBSD.com. Is a free and open source Unix-like operating system descended from Research Unix via the Berkeley Software Distribution, BSD.
Okay.
FreeBSD is a direct descendant of BSD, which was historically called BSD Unix or Berkeley Unix, in violation of the Unix trademark.
Oh, shit.
The first version of FreeBSD was released in 1993, and as of 2005, was the most widely used open source BSD operating system.
That's so stupid.
As that sentence went on, got less and less impressive.
Absolutely.
The most widely used, open source, BSD operating system, accounting for more than 3/4 of all installed BSD systems.
This is a good example of how you can make statistics like work for you. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, 3/4 of all, like, in your head you think, all operating systems, holy shit.
Yeah.
But you're like, you gloss over the part that you don't even understand.
I don't know enough about anything to know what I'm reading.
No, I don't. Berkeley is a school. I'm pretty sure it's like a good university.
I think it's a place too.
Berkeley, is it in Virginia?
I was gonna say California.
Well, shit. You're right. UC Berkeley. Yeah.
Okay.
The fighting Burks. The fighting Birkenstocks. Bad mascot. So it's dude, I've never known like anything about like Linux or Unix or any of that stuff.
I know
like,
a little bit about Linux. I don't know what Unix is, and I feel like they're probably related somehow.
Yeah, I mean they're just like one letter off basically. Don't count me on that one. Nope. I've just used Windows my whole life. I don't know.
FreeBSD has similarities with Linux.
Oh, good.
2 major differences in scope and licensing.
Oh my god.
FreeBSD maintains a complete system, i.e. the project delivers a kernel, device drivers, user land utilities, and documentation.
Wow, it's got everything probably.
As opposed to Linux only delivering a kernel and drivers and relying on third parties for system software. FreeBSD source code is generally released under a permissive BSD license as opposed to the copyleft GPL.
Copyleft.
Yes. Used by Linux.
God, these people get too cute sometimes.
Yeah.
You know why Python's named Python?
No.
It's basically because like the dude just likes Monty Python.
That sucks.
Like I think when he was like programming it, he was like watching like Flying Circus or something.
That sucks
Yeah.
hard.
I never knew it until like recently.
I have used Linux. It is a pain in the ass.
Okay.
In fact, for a while, so I had a desktop that died, and then I didn't have a lot of money, so I bought a Chromebook because it was very cheap. Mm-hmm. And then to edit this podcast, I installed Linux on the Chromebook.
Okay.
So that I
Can install software.
could install Audacity. So for a long time,
That's wild.
I would edit on Linux for probably a year or more.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I Never knew that.
Yeah.
How long has this podcast been going now? Like 6 years?
6 years. It was maybe more than a year, honestly. It was
Holy
probably
shit.
2 years.
I never even considered that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a good partner.
Yeah, so that was challenging.
What the hell? Is it? I don't know. I mean, like Windows and whatever Apple uses, Apples. He's called Apples is the operating system. They're not dissimilar.
No.
Is Linux in the same vein, or is it like you have to learn a whole new deal?
Well, there are like a bunch of different kinds of Linux. I was using Ubuntu.
Sure, I've heard of that.
Which is similar to both.
Probably by design, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like the most sort of user-friendly one.
I see.
But there are some that are just like, all you have is like a term, like
Like a command prompt?
Yeah, command prompt.
I see.
And it's like, well, no.
Yeah, my dad started teaching me like DOS when I was like a little kid.
Oh, that's useful.
Well, I guess that's why he started and then never kept going with it. But I would mostly use it to just to like boot up, like Lemmings or Oregon Trail or whatever.
Lemmings.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's up?
You think there's a mobile version of Lemmings?
Oh, there has to be.
That game was very good.
Yeah. There's like a mobile version of like Skyrim or, you know what I mean? Like there's like crazy versions of, they have to have Lemmings.
I had this, well, I guess it wasn't DOS. It was like an Amiga or something. My dad had an old computer and there was like a coloring game. Okay. It was like Zug the dinosaur and it was coloring. And then there was one that was
Zug the dinosaur.
It was called Mad Professor Moriarty. That was fun.
Okay, that sounds cool.
And you were like a professor, but all of your like experiments and gadgets like turned evil or something.
Okay.
So like you would just run around your lab and like
fix stuff,
fight your gadgets.
I see. It's interesting that a game called Mad Professor Moriarty, you were the protagonist and you were the Mad Professor.
Yeah.
Like that was a twist. I didn't see that coming.
And then there was another one called Zany Golf that was very fun. It was like a mini golf game, but it was like all goofy stuff. So the one hole that I remember is the hole was under a cheeseburger.
Okay.
And you had to like, if you tried to hit it, it would just bounce off the cheeseburger.
Of course.
So you had to click the cheeseburger.
All right.
And it would like slowly bounce. And the faster you clicked it, like the higher and faster the cheeseburger would bounce.
I see.
But also, I think if I remember correctly, when it would bounce, it would sort of like the bun and the patty and stuff would like kind of separate and then like smash back together. But
like an exploded view of the cheeseburger.
Yes. But the thing with all of these games is they were each on like 42 floppy disks.
So each hole had a different.
Well, no, what you would do is you would like load one in, like type whatever, and it would like upload what the game stuff into the computer's RAM. Then you would pop that disk out, put the next one in. So you like the game was contained over all of these disks, but you had to like load them all into the computer before you could even play. So it was just like
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's so like what a terrible time. And look at where we are now with games. It's crazy. Like Red Dead Redemption, that's like all I've been playing for the last week or since it came out, which is like maybe 4 days ago. I've lost complete track of time, dude.
We didn't have clocks back then.
Well, there's a thing. This game is already hyper immersive, but you can make it even more immersive. Like there's a way you can like the time will be displayed on the the in-game time, but you can remove that and then you can just carry a pocket watch and use that to check what time it is. Like that level of like detail. You know what I mean? Like I'm basically living a virtual life as a cowboy right now.
Did you ever do Second Life?
No.
Should we?
No. I don't have time. I'm in my Second Life. My name is Arthur Morgan and I'm a cowboy.
There was a thing that was like Second Life called Active Worlds that I played around in a little bit.
I'm not familiar with Active World.
It was basically the same thing. I think it was before. I did that before I did Second Life.
You did Second Life?
Or I did that before I heard of Second Life. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I remember from Active Worlds is I remember going to someone's like zone and when you were in their zone, it played Roller Coaster of Love, like a MIDI of Roller Coaster of Love
over and over again.
Yeah.
So you basically like create your little deal and then you go visit other people's deals.
I guess.
Is that maybe what Second Life is too? I guess it's whatever you want to
I
be.
guess. I don't know.
Did you have a character, like an avatar that was like...
I did not play it very much.
Okay.
It was just kind of like, what's this? And
Yeah.
what I used it a lot for is I had a friend who was into it too, and we would just like use it to chat.
Okay, I see.
So we would be chatting, but also
Technically
listening to
playing.
Roller Coaster of Love.
The MIDI version. When Twitter came out, a lot of people would use it just to like chat with each other because they didn't really fully understand like Twitter's deal. Not that we do now understand its deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. It's whatever. It's sort of the second world of social media.
Second Life.
The active Second Life world.
The active Second Life of, oh shit.
Walter Mitty.
No, there's a Twilight book called like The Incredibly Short Second Life of Denise Richards. Or it's like a person's name, and it's like
It's a book within the Twilight universe.
it's like a mid-quel.
Oh, it's a real book.
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
It's like about, she wrote like a short book about like one of the side characters. I have not read that one.
I see. But you have consumed the other pieces.
I have, yes.
Okay, I see. Is it time for me to get into them?
I think now is the perfect time. Yes. It's like in the Dark Tower. There's
You're pointing to the books on your shelf.
What is it? Went Through the Keyhole.
Sure.
Was the last one to be written, but technically it takes place between like 4 and 5. I think.
And this Secret Life of Walter Mitty is that of the Twilight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, the Went Through the Keyhole it's like a story in a story in a story. It's like so many levels deep.
I am into that. I started reading a while ago. I started reading the Arabian Nights or 1001 Tales or whatever.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. Just like there's one story that was like 5 stories deep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. It's so ridiculous.
It's like they stop, the main characters of the series like stop, set up a camp, and then what the fuck is his
Roland.
name? Roland.
Yeah.
He's like, let me tell you a story about when I was a youth.
Yeah.
And then in that story, someone's like, remember that ancient tale of like the tiger in the cage or whatever?
Right.
And then the whole book is that.
Is the tiger in the cage? Yeah. It's so ridiculous. Like, just tell that story.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's wild. It's wild.
Are there any other books that do that? Like, is there a book that just starts that way? Like, let me tell you a story about this story. And then, like, the whole story is literally... And then that person gets killed or something. Like a movie? I wonder if there's a movie like that. Can a movie do that? Could a movie do a story with this? Well, actually, a movie did do exactly what I just described, I think.
Oh, great.
What's the Smokin' Aces? Or... What's the one where... Yeah, I think it's Smokin' Aces. Where there's, like, a bunch of different, like, teams of bad guys who are trying to kill a magician.
Okay. I've never seen this movie, but it sounds great.
And the beginning of the movie starts with like one of these hitman squads. It's maybe like Ben Affleck is in this little squad. And he's like,
what is this? Some kind of Suicide Squad?
I mean, come on. And he's like telling the whole story of like this guy's deal, this magician's deal, like why these teams are after him. I feel like it's like a 10 or 20 minute like sequence. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so you think like, oh, these are going to be like the main... These are going to be the guys I'm following the whole movie. And then another one of the hitman squads just like rolls up on them and shoots them to death. And that's it. They're dead for the rest of the movie.
That rules.
It's super rules, yeah. I don't remember the movie being necessarily that great. But
sure.
Yeah. It was good if you were like in 10th grade.
There were a lot of those.
Yeah. What's the all-time best 10th grader movie?
300.
Are you sure?
I think so.
I did see it twice.
I saw it at least twice.
Fuck. Was one of them like a midnight viewing? Because one of them
probably. I also, dressed as a Spartan for
for fun.
There was like a day in school when it was like superhero day. Dressed like a superhero, and I was like,
just Leonidas.
This is my superhero.
Spartans are my anti-drug. Do you remember any of those other like? Was that always what? Like, I was always doing that too. Like Spirit Week, you'd dress up as some obscure like you and your friends were.
Yeah, you'd be an asshole. It was like
Be an asshole week. Yeah. Yeah, I think
you guys have fun. I'm gonna be a dickhead.
Smell you later. But it might be at the point where you have to take improv classes in the same way that like everyone has to go to college. So you know what I mean? Where it's like,
yeah, totally,
well,
totally.
if you want to be a comedian or entertainer of some sort, like you have to take a year and a half to do these fucking classes so you can learn how to be funny.
Shit.
And then
you do whatever.
And then
Fuck, that's
right.
it.
You know, like no one wants to do it, but you all have to do it.
Yeah. Shit. That's it. Exactly.
So maybe it's not going anywhere. Going. Maybe it's not leaving. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
But
it's
not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Anyway, was that the episode?
Thank you for playing Arcade Audio. Play more at arcadeaudio.net.